The impact of parasite infection of mental illness. More and more research is finding inflammation as a potential contributing factor toward the development of various mental illnesses. A systematic review was conducted to determine the association between parasitic infection and mental illness in various African populations. 2 parasite groups were evaluated. Helminths, and protozoans, and 4 mental illness classifications: depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, schizotypal disorders, and unspecified mental illness. Humans are a host to nearly 300 species of parasitic worms and over 70 species of single-celled parasites. In 2020 alone, it was found that over 1 billion people were affected by the helminth infections that were causing chronic inflammation. And if y'all don't know anything about inflammation causes a lot of illnesses. We have seen from previous research that certain biological factors, such as higher baseline inflammation due to high pathogen parasite environments, being contributors to the development of depression. A higher prevalence of psychiatric disorders in countries are more prevalent suggests that the parasite infections may play a role in mental illness. The inflammation caused by parasite infections affects the brain and CNS via the blood-brain barrier, activation of the vagus nerve, and immune cells. So I started looking up studies, and this was one I found. It's called Deworming the World, and this is on PubMed. Worms or helminths have historically infected more than half the world's population, but were largely neglected by the medical science and public health interventions because they were considered non-fatal and of minimal clinical significance. Based on these studies, we now know that almost all infected children and many adults, particularly pregnant and lactating women, suffer adverse effects from worms, including growth stunting, anemia, decreased cognitive development, and poor birth outcomes, as well as poor school and work performance. Worm-infected people also respond less well to vaccinations or are more susceptible to several co-conditions such as HIV and cirrhosis. And I even found this article on the CDC's website. It states, it is estimated that there are over 300,000 people living in the United States who are infected with the parasite that causes Chagas disease. More than 300 infected babies are born every year in the United States. More than 60 million people in the United States are chronically infected. Infections in pregnant women can lead to birth defects and their babies, and infections in immune-compromised individuals can be deadly. 3.7 million people in the United States are affected. So if parasites can cause inflammation, and most illnesses are due to inflammation, shouldn't doctors be more concerned with getting rid of this problem than filling you up with a bunch of medications? If you haven't done a parasite cleanse, I suggest you do one. I use the black walnut hull. It's great. But this is a list of some that you can try. You'll notice once you do one, your energy and your mental state is better.